thank you for tuning in to tonight's show. I'm Naomi Hazelton, founder and publisher of Pacific Edge magazine, featuring real people with extraordinary lives, celebrating 17 years this year. We created the annual Pacific Edge magazine Women in Business issue to showcase a strong voice for women in Hawaii and honor extraordinary leadership. We'd like you to join us on this journey with these amazing women who are successfully navigating their lives and their careers within these beautiful islands of Hawaii. They are guiding their lives with grace and passion, and during this series, you'll experience their transparency, their vulnerability, confidence, and the joy they realize through their personal and professional endeavors.
What is an Oiwi leader? Do they move people with their words? Do they let their actions speak? Do they breathe life into the past? Do they have a vision for the future? We celebrate every Oiwi leader who are all of these things and more. Together, they're helping our Lahui rise.
We're here with the Women in Business show for Pacific Edge magazine, and I'm here with someone very special, Dr. Wayale Sarsona, Vice President of Hi'i'alo of Kamehameha Schools. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. That's exciting.
Now, you've accomplished so many amazing things. So can you tell me a little bit about Hi'i'alo and how that ties into what you do here at Kamehameha Schools?
Sure. So Hi'i'alo means nurture or to care for, as if you were a baby. So Hi'i'alo is sort of like carrying a baby in the front. And so my work at Kamehameha really speaks to that. So I oversee our 30 preschools across the state, which is our 3 and 4 year olds. We serve about 1,600 of them, as well as my work in community that really focuses on how we develop Native Hawaiian learners in our community, from basically our babies all the way through our adults. And so that idea of nurturing or caring for our Native Hawaiian learners.
Mm-hmm. I love that, because you're helping them from such a young age, but also paving the way for their future.
Right.
As well.
Right.
So was there a specific moment in your life where you saw the need or the importance of Hawaiian culture-based education?
I think for everyone, once you become a mom, the whole world is different, right? The whole world changes. And so the minute I had my first child, who is now 21, was really thinking about what kind of education does she need, or do I believe would be, her best opportunity. And so for me, that was Hawaiian culture-based education. I knew it was going to be an education that was deeply rooted in Hawaiian identity, with who they are, their own background. And with that, I really felt comfortable with them understanding math, science, English, all of these sort of traditional K-12 topics. And so for me, Hawaiian culture-based education gave them an opportunity in both worlds, as I like to say, who they are as a Native Hawaiian. So they are all fluent speakers. They have a deep connection to Hawaii and the place all of us love so much. And they're well-versed in all of those academic subjects that we see in our public school system. So to me, I couldn't get any better of a world when combining both of those spaces for them and really helping them think about what does that mean for their future and for Hawaii, and knowing that their future is much broader, in my opinion, because of the education they receive.
That's so amazing. Yeah. And I think when people know who they are, when they really truly understand who they are and understand their culture, that paves the way for everything, right? It strengthens them in every aspect of their life and what they do.
Right, because they have the opportunity to really think about, what were the practices in my own family? What was that like? How do you know where you come from? And then what does that mean when you're thinking about your future? And so for me, when I think about Hawaiian culture-based education, it's what are we thinking about for Hawaii's future, Hawaii's well-being overall? It's not necessarily just for Native Hawaiians, but for all of Hawaii, right? How do we take care of this place that we absolutely love?
So what type of success would you like to see in these students that you're serving?
Well, so Kamehameha Schools being not just the nation's largest education institution, but really we come from our ali'i, right? Kamehameha the first. And so as such, we have a responsibility to develop Oiwi leaders in our community, from our pre-K to 12 educational system, but also those that are across our Pai'aina. And so our goal is to see how we might develop that lens in order for them to think about solving problems, not just what we see today, but what does that look like in 10 years and what does that look like in 20 years? And we don't know what problems they're going to encounter, right? Our best role is to help them with the skill set and the mindset to ensure that they can and they're confident in solving those problems that we know our communities are going to face in Hawaii.
And like you mentioned, those problems can be different, right, for every generation. So
Right.
what are some of those challenges that you faced that have helped bring you to where you are today?
Yeah, in middle school, I had no idea around the perception of who I was as a Native Hawaiian growing up in basically the late 80s, and not understanding that the world didn't see my community and me. They saw me in a different light that I didn't understand until I reached middle school and started to be with others that were beyond where I grew up in Waimanalo on the homestead community. And so having that experience and understanding, there was a little bit of a deficit perception of me being Native Hawaiian and being female. And so having to encounter that and then say, you know what, despite those expectations, I'm going to be successful no matter what, because our people deserve it. And so I continue to think about those things when I do my work and think about how my role is to make sure that none of our Native Hawaiians feel like that for as long as I get to do this work in community and with the support of Kamehameha schools. I want our Native Hawaiian learners, male, female, living on the homestead, not living on the homestead, to just feel empowered as who they are as Native Hawaiians.
And I mean, what you're doing, you are being the leader for them in a way, and help they're able to learn from your experiences. And I think that's just such
Really
a wonderful.
just trying to be an example for them, and that they can do it. Yeah.
So with all the different roles you have and responsibilities, how do you find balance in your life?
Yeah, about 2017, after I was done with my doctoral degree, it really changed my perspective and focusing on me and just sort of finding the balance. And so I decided to study Hawaiian traditional healing, or traditional Hawaiian healing, also called Mauliola. And that really just gave me a balance because it taught me how to care for myself, but it also taught me how to care for my family and how to care for my community. And so part of what I do as a balance is not just all of those things, but also actually working in our community. I'll volunteer to do community events along with the rest of our group. And what has happened is I think I've sort of thrown off what a traditional vice president might be when they see me volunteering and working on our community in community. I sort of turn a lot of heads, like it doesn't make sense to them why a VP would be doing that. And I've actually gotten asked that question by some of our staff. And for me, I'm no different from our community. I will always do those things. I always love doing those things and connecting. But it also gives an opportunity to change the perspective of what it means to be a vice president, that we're not disconnected from our community, that we can still be passionate about the work that we do and still be really grounded in the work we do personally for our people. And so I will always continue to be in community no matter what. I think it drives me at what gives me fuel for all of the work that I continue to do. Yeah.
And that's so important. And I love that you're connecting with people and also with your students and finding a way to get that balance too.
Yeah.
Sure. I need you to teach me some of those ways.
Of course I will. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing everything that you've done. And thank you again for joining us on the Women in Business Show.
The business owners, the ones who burn the midnight oil and see the sunrise, those who carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, but never their faces, the hand wringers, the bean counters, game changers, and miracle workers, the ones who have everything on the line, their property, equipment, the people who count on them. We protect all of it. Hemic.
You know what I heard? Even if I know more insurance, I can go to New Health and still get healthcare.
I have insurance, so no need.
Actually, you both can benefit from our healthcare services whether you have insurance or not. You can see us anytime, as many times as you want.
Well, that's not fair.
You actually get the same deal as everyone else, whether you're insured or not.
So, we have so much in common.
Learn how New can work for you at newhealth.com.
Welcome back to Pacific Edge Magazine's Women in Business show, and we are with Stacy Katakura, the founder and CEO of Accumulus. What is Accumulus?
So Accumulus is, we are a CPA firm. We do outsourced accounting and advisory services. So we function as essentially an accounting department for small and medium-sized businesses that can't really afford to staff an entire accounting department. We handle everything from just basic bookkeeping, paying the bills, all the way to financial reporting and providing strategic financial counsel.
And you started this 5 years ago.
Yes.
Why'd you want to do that?
I wanted to, I'm the type of person that I think always needs to be doing something new and different. I had a long career in accounting and public accounting, and then I was a CFO for a large company for 10 years. And my next iteration, I guess, of my career, I worked in an outsourced accounting firm, and I just saw just how much the community, the business community, I think, needed the types of services that we provide. And so I got to a point with that company where I just felt like I needed to go in a different direction and chart my own course. So I started Accumulus, and that was 5 years ago, and we've grown so much since then. I mean, we've become a company that we've evolved into a company that wasn't where we started, but I'm really proud of where we're at today. We've become, especially through the pandemic, we've been able to pivot and become a lot more community focused and support small businesses and nonprofits in a way that I think is really needed.
You've referred to this as your baby, and as with raising a child, there are many twists and turns along the way that one doesn't expect. So how has that played out for you?
Well, I think because I started the company 5 years ago, there's been so many things that have happened in the last 5 years. In 2019, I got divorced, and then I was diagnosed with cancer. And then the pandemic happened in 2020. So I think in the different iterations of the company, I've had to learn how to be vulnerable and ask for help and ask my team to support me when I was going through a hard time. I've learned to trust in my team to be able to carry through my vision when I wasn't able to be there. And finally, throughout the pandemic, we really pivoted to, as I mentioned, we pivoted to be able to support the small business community in a way that really, they really needed. And I think that brought us to where we are today, and being able to do a lot more that is community facing. We've supported so much of the nonprofit community in the last few years that our client list has evolved to be about 50%.
Wow.
Nonprofit.
That is a lot, right?
Yeah, that is.
So you start this company, you go through all this personal trauma, you probably have, 12, 15-hour days for a long stretch while you're getting this off the ground. Then you add pro bono clients to your client list. I mean, how do you find balance? This is a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. But I think having been diagnosed with cancer and recovering from it had really changed my life tremendously. I think that was a wake-up call for me, and it made me realize that there is really more to life than work. And in the last few years, since I've recovered from cancer, I've learned to really focus on my mental, my physical, emotional, and spiritual health as well. And I think that balance is a lot more important than people realize. But it's so important to focus on all aspects of your health to be able to function.
I fully agree. Stacy and I have a pending, long-standing yoga session date that we have yet to fulfill. So what are the ways, though, that you are finding all of that purpose and balance and grounding?
Well, like you mentioned, I make it a point to stay committed to my physical fitness routine. I eat healthy. I try to read books whenever I can.
So if you had a piece of advice that you would like to impart on any of the women who are watching, what would it be?
If I had to give anyone advice who is just getting started in their career, I would say to be authentic, be yourself, and lead Don't feel like you have to be somebody that you aren't. And I think stay true to your passion, because I think when you do, you'll find success in ways that you couldn't imagine.
Stacy Katakura, thank you so much for sharing your story and your time and your energy, and you are an inspiration.
Oh, thank you. So are you.
Thank you. Stacy Katakura from Accumulus, and thank you for joining us.
ASSETS is the only school in Hawaii specializing in educating children who are gifted, dyslexic, or have language-based differences. A curriculum at ASSETS meets your child's individual strengths.
I learned so much from this school. I like how teachers can make pretty much any learning fun.
Because I didn't know how to read, and now I know how.
Everybody's so close together. We're all friends. It's an amazing place to be.
Our students excel with the typical 8-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio and a focus in being creative with art, music, drama, and technology. Our offerings are enhanced with competitive robotics, rocketry, mentorship, and athletics. Our students graduate bound for college or a career. Learn more at assets-school.org.
Vice President of Institutional Advancement. That's quite a mouthful, super fancy title, but what does that mean?
Well, that means I oversee the Advancement Office, which is the fundraising arm for the school, which also includes communications, parent relations, and community engagement. But my number one job within that big office is raising money for our families. Our families need assets. We're a school that people come to because the child was diagnosed with dyslexia, maybe has ADHD, might have dyscalculia, dysgraphia.
You just started something you're really proud of. What is this assessment center?
We just launched the Transforming Lives, an assessment center for students who are struggling in a traditional setting. A lot of times teachers and parents don't necessarily know what they're looking for. They think little Johnny or little Sally is just acting up, but that child could be gifted. They might be just bored in class. We could also see a child who might have a learning difference and is acting out in another way. So the assessment helps create that learning profile for teachers and families to go forward with that child's academic success. And that family didn't plan on coming to ASSETS, so more than likely they need financial assistance. And so right now we have nearly 40% of our families receiving financial assistance. And it's always been a high number, but the pandemic made it skyrocket. So by raising money for financial assistance, and we have the most generous donors, it allows us to distribute about $1 million a year to our students, to our families in need. And we're so grateful for Kamehameha Schools. They also help us with helping our Native Hawaiian learners. So it's just a really important job that a lot of the work happens behind the scenes, but at the end of the day, all of our donors are helping families succeed, and our children, God forbid, a child who has dyslexia who goes undiagnosed and undetected, the statistics show that that child will have a difficult adulthood. It's very important, early intervention.
As the mother of a high schooler, all the things you're saying resonate with me, and I really appreciate people who would put that kind of care and attention to a custom learning plan for each child's needs. So thank you for that. So part of your job involves communications, which makes a lot of sense because Linda used to work at KHON as an anchor and a reporter some years ago. Why did you leave? Because we miss you. And do you want to come back? Because we could use the help.
I have a big job now. I have to stay where I am. I'm committed to the mission, but thank you. I left when my son was 2. I just had that moment where I just wasn't balancing my family life and my work life enough, and I really needed to get things back in order. And by moving into corporate communications, it allowed me to work from home. This is pre-COVID, of course. And so it allowed me to work from home, which really wasn't something that took place 10, 20 years ago. So in corporate communications, especially for a technology firm that was based out of San Diego, it allowed me to work in like 3 in the morning, which is usually my best writing hour. So it allowed me to work from home, and it gave me that opportunity to be at every sporting event. Both my children are athletic, and so it gave me that allowed me to have that mom cap that I was missing when I was in news.
Yeah.
And that from there, my life moved on to working in philanthropy. It was a great transition at Kapilani Medical Center, and now I'm at Assets, and I'm very grateful. I think I've aligned my career choices with making a difference, and by that guiding principle in my own life has helped me make the right decisions in my career.
I'm so touched by all of the success that you've had and like how well you've balanced your work life and your family life. For the young women or the girls who are watching this, who are looking up to you, wondering how they can aspire to more one day, what is your advice?
Just dream big, don't accept no for an answer, and if you know where you want to work and you're curious, call the top leader and see if you can go to lunch with them, and you'll be surprised. You might get that lunch, and if it's not that CEO or someone within the leadership, they will grant you that opportunity, and that will lead probably to an internship, will lead to volunteer opportunity, which will probably lead to a job. And I think if you're not waking up every day excited about your job, then you're not in the right position. You're not in the right career. You have to really love what you do, and then it won't, as you know, it doesn't feel like work if you love what you do. And so often people just take for granted that, oh, this is what I do, but you really need to be passionate about what you do.
I fully get that, and thank you for saying that, because I also think that is the most important thing that should drive a person forward. That and move forward with authenticity, right? Linda, so good to catch up with you. I'm so happy to sit with you. Linda Jamison Myers from Asset School, thank you for joining us, and we'll be back.
I'm glad I have UHA. There's flexibility in choosing my doctor. You're not having to kind of go through one person to see a dermatologist or an allergist. For me, I like that accessibility and transparency. That has been the most critical difference. It makes getting care so much more simple.
Ask your employer about UHA health insurance.
Aloha, I'm Kristen from Kristen with Lashes. I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge all of you amazing women in business. I've been in the beauty industry for the last 27 years. It's been an honor and a privilege, but the last 2 have been challenging. As our economy rebounds, I am excited about our future as we move forward together to inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs, as you have done for me. So ladies, let's continue to show your strength, shine with all your brilliance, and know your worth. Thank you, and may God continue to bless you.
It's so wonderful to be back at the beautiful Ritz-Carlton in Waikiki. Thank you. Sandy, it's great to have you back. You were on our Women in Business 2021 show, and Kau'i, you are also on our Women in Business 2022 show just a few months ago. Thank you for joining us today. We also have the beautiful Stacy Katakura and Linda Jamison Myers, who are joining us for the first time. So thank you, ladies, and I would love to ask you just some personal questions to understand who you are, as it portrays to who is this amazing businesswoman behind that persona. What really makes you tick? What is your soul and how do you shine bright? So I would love to start with you, Sandy. What do you think the biggest sacrifice for your career is, or that you made for your career?
The biggest sacrifice I made for my career is time. And that's a question I always get is, how do you balance? You don't ever balance. Time is a give and take. And so whatever time is taken from, mostly it's my family, is time that has to be well spent. Can also be used to, in some way, help others. And working here at this resort, I'm very fortunate I'm able to do both.
I feel like a boss when I'm mentoring. I absolutely love younger business ladies and businessmen and helping them succeed in their career, and any advice I can give them with my years of experience and different areas that I've grown in my career that I can help them, I try to do my best.
Well said. That was excellent. Thank you. Stacy, let's see, what have you created that you're most proud of?
It has to be my company, Accumulus. I started the company 5 years ago, and we've grown quickly to have 15 employees now. And I think what I'm most proud about is just the way that we were able to pivot during the pandemic to being less of an accounting firm and more of just a support and a safety net for the community, providing a lot of needed resources to help small businesses and nonprofits kind of navigate what their options were and how to survive. And that I think was one of the biggest, the proudest moments that I've had.
Congratulations. They say businesses fail in the first 5 years, so you made it through the hump. Kelly, what are 3 words that define who you are?
To say the first is passionate. And then, what else? Kuleana. And believer. I at all levels. So believer in my faith, as well as in any challenge that comes before me. I mean, somebody's got to believe that you're going to succeed. It might as well be myself. So I'm a believer. Passionate about it as well. And I take that kuleana very seriously, that responsibility very seriously.
When's the last time you cried?
I had to really think about it. It was actually when I gave birth. It's been a good cry, not at a commercial. It was when I gave birth. You know, this last baby, she meant so much because we were all able to witness her birth, and it was also, you know, having gone through the pandemic, and I think spending more time with family became even more important.
It would have to be the first time I met my granddaughter.
Aww.
Yeah. And don't ask me the last time I cried because it'll be in the next 5 seconds. But yeah, that would have to be, I mean, having a grandchild is just, it's next level, like living, it's next level. And so I would have to say, when I first met her, I couldn't contain my love. I couldn't contain my joy and my tears.
I love that.
My mom passed away when I was 17 and went off to college. Alone and without a mother to back me up. A single mom, of course, she was. And yeah, no silver spoon.
What have you created, Linda, that you are most proud of?
Oh boy, my children, absolutely, my children. And I'm proud of them every single day. That's number one. And I've had a lot of career successes.
If you could tell your younger self a bit of advice, what would it be?
I was so eager to work and learn everything I could. I actually was on a path to accounting before I switched to journalism. But I feel like I was just so eager to be a career woman that I didn't live in the moment. I didn't enjoy college like my other friends did. My college life was definitely boring compared to the way other people enjoyed college. So I just would give folks, young people, the advice to just really live in the moment.